I didn't say it this time, but it's recorded.
Thank you. Please take notice that the Wellfleet Conservation Commission, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, and Section 40, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw, will hold a public hearing in person in the basement of Town Hall and via Zoom on Wednesday, May 6, 2026. Public hearings begin at 4. The business meeting will follow. In attendance, we have Michael Fisher, John Portnoy, Paul Benicel, Bob Stewart, and Leon Tree, so we have a quorum. First hearing tonight is the town of Wellfleet, 70 and 80 Mill Creek Lane, map 19, parcels 67 and 68. A request for determination of applicability to abandon the existing well and replace in a new location.
And I have to refuse because the trust is in a butter.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So who is representing the town of Wellfleet?
I am Annie Carol Ridley, who is participating virtually.
Okay, great. Who would like?
Sorry, my name is Christine Odiaga from Friends of During River.
Carol's on the one.
Hi, Carol.
Good afternoon, commissioners. So thank you for taking up this matter. Essentially, this is a request for determination of applicability to for the purpose of relocating wells on 2 private properties. As outlined in the materials provided to you, both of the existing wells are located within BVW. One of the proposed locations is within the buffer to BVW, and one of the proposed new locations is outside of the buffer. Christine knows the details in and out of the locations and the access plans for the installation of the new wells. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
I think one of the primary questions we had was, what's the ramifications of access to the machinery to get there? Are you going to have to cut trees down? Are you going to have to do some excavation? Or
They will use a very small drill rig. When we did the site visit, the driller, Desmond Well Drilling, was on site along with the contractor and the town and me. They think they will actually only need to take down 1 small pine tree and a little bit of, shrub stuff. But they figure they have a very small piece of equipment. They think they can get away with just 1 small tree.
well, normally we'd like to see that access path staked out and take a tree down, have it be tagged, and then the locations of the wells would be.
Oh, the wells
staked.
weren't staked?
No,
Oh,
nothing like.
that's I apologize. I thought that was gonna be taken care of. Can we ask you to take another look? Do you want me to send you some photographs?
Is one of the wells out of our jurisdiction?
One of the wells is out of our jurisdiction, just the access.
Yes.
And I don't think there'll be any tree removal there because that's over disturbed area. That access for 70 is on disturbed area. So it would be 80. I'm also comfortable if we decide to approve this, if we're comfortable with the discussion, to do a site visit prior to construction to confirm that the details that we discussed here match what's on the ground.
We would have a site visit.
No, at least.
I can,
You would have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can, if you want to come, I can let you know when it's going to be.
So the small drill is like a bobcat size, this wide.
To be perfectly honest, I thought that Wes Stinson would be here and that he would describe the equipment.
But if
No, but I believe it might be truck mounted. It's something very small. We are unprepared.
The truck might have difficult down
Yeah.
low end.
Well, it's not going at the low end though.
Well, that
We won't, the wells will be abandoned in place, and that will just be someone walking in with, some sand and some quick. It'll go like the side of one of the hills.
Here's what.
Here's the perfect timing. The question is about the type of equipment that will be used to access the drill sites.
So this is going to be a little mobile trap rig, drill rig.
It comes on a flatbed truck. And then they'll walk it up the walking trail at number 70 Mill Creek Lane, using kind of blocks to get over. He already has a walkway that steps up with like timbers. So they'll walk it up the side of the house, drill, or they'll actually go from 70 all the way to 80, drill the well for 80, and then crawl back down the property at 70. And I could probably get a photo of the drill rig.
Is it on tracks or?
Yeah, it's a little track machine. Yeah,
Just like a Bobcat.
it's like a Bobcat.
With a drill on.
Yeah.
And Christine said that there'll be one tree removal and maybe some shrubs.
Right now it looks like there's going to be one oak, maybe about DBH 3 to 4 inches.
Okay.
That's along the walking trail, along the top side between number 70 and number 80. But it's the track machine itself is probably as wide as this table, so, or maybe not even. So,
And that area might even be where that removal is, could easily be outside of our jurisdiction, because a good portion of that access is outside of.
that one tree is along this purple line right here.
Mhm.
So yes, there's 2 maps. So this is number 80. So they access up here over to number 80, drill number 80, and then crawl the machine back, drill number 70, and then crawl out.
On the access road west, are you anticipating any vegetation removal in the area that is within our jurisdiction, which is that green line? The 100-foot BVW buffer zone?
I don't anticipate any. The only thing that would really, the primary thing that would happen in there is you'd have a mini excavator dig in the service line, which would be a 1-inch plastic line, roughly 4 feet deep. And again, based off what the site visit informed us and kind of what I've seen in other instances of, well line installation, tends to be rather minimal,
Yeah.
The other question we had, which is in our jurisdiction, is how are the old wells going to be abandoned? What's going to happen?
So the old wells will go down, dig down to expose the cap if it's not already exposed, and then they install like bentonite chips, like a clay, and that seals the well itself. And pull the pump. If it has a submersible pump in it, pull the pump, and abandon it inside.
And dump bentonite down the casing?
Down inside the actual well itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the standpipe that it's above ground, because there is one that's at least above ground.
Yeah, so once you pour that in, you can just cut it off below grade and backfill it.
Wes, could you send me like a really brief email with how you plan to abandon the exact fill you're going to use to abandon the well, so I can add it to the file?
Yep.
It can literally be 2 sentences, and then
Yeah.
I can add it as a piece of the narrative.
Do you know how deep the wells are?
So the wells, so once you drill, you're kind of like, you're going to see what your returns are looking like. So
No, I don't mean the new wells, I mean the existing wells.
I don't have the depths on the existing wells, but I would venture to guess that they're not too deep, seeing that they're already in the lowland. So the depth, your DTW, your depth of water is relatively shallow. It's more about just getting into good material, like a coarse sand obviously is ideal.
Right, now, my comment is, based on my prior experience with abandoning water wells, the way we usually do it is block casing. And as we're pulling the casing, we drill in some bentonite.
Yeah.
Pull the casing up a bit more, add bentonite until the casing's entirely out of the ground. Because if you just fill the casing, you still have an angular space.
So there's no.
Please let me finish.
Sorry.
Before you interrupt. In my experience, the space between the outside of the PVC and the existing deposits can transmit fluid down, which is why it's better to pull it out.
Understood. So I guess in this situation, you're talking about you have the well itself, and then you're contemplating a casing along the outside, like you would tremie in material.
It's a 4-inch well. I don't think there are 2 tubes.
No, there's just one tube. So that's what I'm saying.
He's still concerned.
No, I'm trying to understand exactly. So you have a well with a screen at the bottom,
Right.
with a solid bottom.
Yes. That's the assumption.
That's the assumption. So I'm wondering, there's no annular space outside of that well. There's
Okay,
the internal space within the 4-inch PVC.
let me rephrase this maybe in simpler terms. You got the driller down there. It pulls the PVC pipe out.
Our intention is not to take equipment down there.
Okay, well, maybe you need to reconsider that to get the pipe out of the ground, because you have the PVC pipe and the outside of the pipe, if you leave that there, that's a conduit, a potential conduit down.
Okay. The outside of the existing well.
Yes,
Why would it be? any
But I don't think
more
there's
conduit than
an
existing
annular
well?
space there.
The wells are in the BBW. And
yes.
we have not, our intention was not to take equipment into the BBW. Yeah.
I guess my question would be, why would it be any more likely to let water down 10 years from now than it is today?
If the casing is pulled out, then we're putting
That's right,
bentonite in the well.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's in there. We don't, is it possible that you could connect with Desmond
Yeah.
Drilling
Yeah.
and ask him how hard it would be to pull
Pull
the
back a well?
things out? Because
Yeah.
You may not need to bring anything down there. You may be able to just, jack it out, clamp onto the casing and jack it out.
Yeah,
Just two
so-
people.
I'm just curious, so if this is your ground surface here, and here's your existing well, you're saying you anticipate an annular space out here?
well, there is one between the plastic and the existing soil. If you leave it in place, you'll,
Okay.
soil additions to pool, you can go down.
Future, you saw it.
So if that becomes salt water in the future, that's a potential conduit down to freshwater lands.
I will follow up because I want to get Desmond's input on this, more specifically, and I think that there's but because I don't want to tell you they can do something that they don't.
Technically, it's not a big deal.
Well, if we have to go into if you try to pull back a 4-inch pipe that's maybe 50 feet deep out of the ground,
Well,
it's very difficult.
I don't think it's gonna be
It's-
anywhere near that deep.
Well, yeah, I just don't know. I'm just trying to, I just don't want to tell you like they can do something that they can if they have to go over wetlands to get out there, get somewhere. I just want to be realistic about access and doing it, but I understand your concern.
Are there any other concerns or questions?
Oh, what kind of tree is it that has to be removed? Out of respect.
It looks like an oak.
No.
It looked like an oak. It didn't have any leaves on it when I saw it, but I would put money on it.
You guys saw it.
All right. Sorry, I misspoke.
What did you say?
I thought it was a pine.
Oh, no,
Like
no,
all pine.
no. It was a little oak.
They're different.
I wasn't
Okay.
standing there when he pointed to the tree.
Oh,
So, yeah. Question though, if would it be possible to handle the removal of the existing well as a separate matter? Because that would, of course, be a notice of intent, and we haven't submitted that.
Yeah, if the commission decides that you have to pull those wells out, I do think that would probably, the work in the bordering vegetated wetland, you'll no longer qualify for the RDA. Because you're doing work in the resource area, not in the buffer zone. So that is also something for this commission to consider. If we require them to remove the well, all of the well and not just fill it, then that is an NOI, which is going to be a much bigger filing for the Friends of the Herring River to undertake. And I'm not, we waived our filing fee for the RDA because there was only a local filing fee, but I don't think the state will waive their fee for that. So they might. So I'm not sure what this commission wants to do. Go ahead.
I have a question first. Is there a sense of urgency on this? Is there a deadline that this has?
There is. So the homeowners at these properties are going to be coming back in June to, for the summer season. Ideally, we get this work done prior to June. If we don't get it done in June, we made an agreement with them that we come follow up in the fall, just for not for any other reason than just to respect their.
But that's the only concern.
That's the only concern.
Convenience.
Yeah.
For them.
The town is interested in having the work done by the contractor who's doing the low line road work.
Okay, so they want it done, they'll be gone by,
Well, yeah, ideally, we could get to it before the end of May. That would be the ideal. But we obviously, can't.
Go ahead.
I don't think that, I'm just thinking about this in physically, but the concern for saltwater intrusion may not be a real concern because the hydraulic head is going to be higher in the fresh water than in the mean water level in the surrounding aquifer is going to be higher than mean sea level, ultimate mean sea level when tides restored to this area. So there'll always be outflow of fresh water to prevent seawater from penetrating into the aquifer. The hydraulic head is higher in the upland than in the wetland, and that won't change even with pile restoration. The mean water level in the wetland will always be lower than the adjacent upland. So you'll have that positive pressure pushing saltwater, keeping saltwater from the aquifer. So I mean, I'd rather see the plastic removed from the wetland. But if it's going to create a lot of red tape for everybody, I don't think there's a real danger of polluting the freshwater aquifer with saltwater.
That's something that could be.
Because the gradient's the other way.
Okay,
And if they do have, I mean, if these are understood to be there, and if the local wells do start getting some salt water, then
Well, that
they can deal with it.
I don't think that's a concern.
No, I don't think so. This is not.
I recommend approving abandoning the wells as described by Wes. I just want that
In writing.
in writing so that we know that, you didn't just put sand there and they're not totally capped. That would be my recommendation for the board. I do think what John said about the red tape it's gonna be a whole lot of permitting to get this through, and it might even have adverse impacts to that bordering vegetated wetland to remove the well, to fully remove the well rather than fill and abandon.
There was a guy in town who's famous well driller in town, Neil Gadwin, who had a tripod rig.
Oh yeah, I've worked with him on that tripod rig.
It was pretty nifty when we walked in, he carried it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Desmond does that sort of thing.
No.
Any other questions or concerns? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the project under the RDA as a negative
Three.
three.
Yeah, I'm gonna condition it that any vegetation removed within conservation jurisdiction has to be approved by the agent.
Okay.
So once you're out there and if it's within the buffer zones or not, just contact me and I'll make a site visit.
Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty vegetated area back there,
Yeah,
even though there aren't a lot of trees,
there's a lot going on.
there's not much planting area.
I'll second the motion.
Yes.
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 And yes. Okay,
Thank you very much.
that is good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you very much.
Here it's in. Okay, next hearing is Tamara Holden, 200 Buttry Lane, map 16, parcel 2627. Notice of intent to allow a seasonal float from Great Pond.
Hello, good afternoon. For the record, I'm Laura Schofield from Schofield Brothers, and I'm representing Tamara and Manuel Colvin, who are here with us today at their 200 Bustry Way property that fronts on Great Pond. And the purpose of the notice of intent is to respond to a communication from the Conservation Department of asking the Colvins to obtain formal permission from the for the continued use of a swim float. So the swim float has been at the property for 40 years or so, and the Fultons didn't realize there were permits required. So we're going through the notice of intent process with the commission. Natural Heritage is reviewing the project with respect to some endangered species habitat that overlaps the property. And the Wellfleet Harbor Master has reviewed the project with respect to Chapter 91. DEP had mentioned when they issued the file number that this, as a Great Pond, that Chapter 91 was an issue that has to be addressed. And the Colvins have been in touch with the Harbor Master, who has issued them a permit last year when they realized that a permit was required. And for this year, under Section 10A of the Chapter 91 regs, so that's been addressed. I have a feeling that the endangered species folks haven't weighed in yet. They haven't gotten it. Yeah, okay, so they're still checking out the project. And so there's nothing new being proposed here. This is a notice of intent to get formal approval from you folks for the existing swim float that's there today. It's a 6x8 foot plastic float. There's no styrofoam material or anything that can kind of crumble away into the pond or the shoreline. In the winter, it sits on the little sandy beach that's at the bottom of the existing stairs. And in the summer, it's floated out to a buoy that marks the mooring that they use for it, which right now is a couple of cinder blocks. And as part of our proposal, we'd like to get on record that there's a pathway through the aquatic grasses that the Colvins would like to maintain as they have been in the same location at a maximum width of 4 feet, and they just hand pull the grasses when they start interfering with the access out to the float. And that's pretty much it on the plan that we've submitted with the filing. We've added a few notes, just that the float will be tethered to the bottom of the stairway during the winter, that it'll be taken out every year by mid-November, that there's no sand fill to be added to the beach, and that the path shall remain in the same place every year, so that won't migrate around. And that they'll obtain approval from the Harbor Master every year through the Chapter 91, Section 10A. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So we're gonna have to go through this.
Our permits are good for 3 years, and then they can request extensions up to 2 times, so they would have to continue to get it permitted. It wouldn't be in perpetuity, but that's what that's pretty common.
We had talked about 2 other projects, potential projects on the site in terms of the knotweed. I don't know what the other one is, but there was 2. If we have to wait for natural heritage anyway, would you want to fold those in, or would you want to keep them as separate JOs?
I think we were gonna keep them separate, and that was a new part of the project that came up after I submitted this. But I don't know, for natural heritage, do you need to ask them for permission for native species?
You don't need to ask permission for planting native species.
Yeah.
In terms of the knotweed mitigation, because it's over your septic permit that you got approval for. And that it's still within that limit of work for the septic.
Right.
I think, and that permit is still valid. I think you would be fine there as well.
but we still have to wait for the natural heritage for the main project, don't we?
We have to
For the
wait, we
swing.
definitely have to, we can't, I mean, we could approve something and then, you know, and I can add any conditions that natural heritage comes forth with, or we can discuss it at the meeting and then wait for NAGSB's determination before we make a decision. That's for you folks to determine.
How long does that verification or?
They technically have
Certification.
30 days. We're really close to the 30 days right now, I feel like, so. Yeah, it doesn't take, I feel like if they had a problem with it by now, they probably would have contacted you, but that's making assumptions.
My concern is the removal of the vegetation and maintaining the path. That vegetation is habitat. It's kind of important for pond ecology. I could see where just walking on it, you could maintain it if you keep walking on it. That's okay with me if you wanted to get out there, but the pulling vegetation out to me seems not quite.
It seems unnecessarily destructive to the, because.
So that's my feeling.
Yeah, just to add to that, observe that the path that might be around it seems like more than 4 feet. But in any case, we're maintaining it 4 feet, but then the beach area is much wider than that. And if there hadn't been any manipulation, there would be vegetation all along that shoreline. And I would just urge the homeowners to try to minimize the removal of those grasses. As Barbara said, the habitat, but also they're keeping the pond a lot cleaner because the roots of those aquatic plants along the shoreline they're actually changing the chemistry in the root zone, actually bringing in oxygen that oxidizes the iron and precipitates the phosphorus from up gradient septic systems. So it's performing an important function. It's kind of a choice. Do you want aquatic plants, or do you want algae in the ponds? And I think we all we prefer to have a natural pond shoreline with aquatic plants. So whatever you can do to minimize the removal of the shoreline vegetation would be great. Otherwise, I wanted to say that it's wonderful that you're applying to Chapter 97 for this, because I know of only one other dock or pier in Wellfleet among the 20 ponds, or how many ponds there are in Wellfleet that have a Chapter 91 permit. That's in Gold Pond. So, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
But just one thing, the vegetation on the beach, a lot of that depends on the height of the pond. Last summer, the pond was much lower. And so it dies off just naturally. A lot of it does, as the level of the pond changes. And I don't know how, that's just been my observation over the years in terms of the beach part and the vegetation.
Well, most of those plants are perennial, so that the top may die back, but they come back.
What if I hear what you guys are saying about the width of the path, and that's why we set a 4-foot width to try and make it a little narrower. And I know I hear what you're saying about the roots, and the grass is pretty thick where it is growing on either side of that. And I think do you think it'd be possible to cut the grass with it rather than pull it up to?
Well, if you cut the tops off, then it won't be able to transfer oxygen down to the root zone.
Well, I hate not to have a path because then people start going everywhere, you know what I mean?
I think the issue is the width of the path, which is, how can we minimize the removal of vegetation?
Do we have a 2-foot path?
I mean, I've been going there since I was a kid, and I do recall, even my grandparents every once in a while taking out a plant or two, but along there it's like I want to say it's reddish, but I think it's covered with algae. There's like a little grass like all that whole. And usually it's never gone all the way down to the sand, like it's just not the reed beds
It's
in
not
that
rooted,
area.
it's not rooted what you're talking about.
It's not what?
It's not rooted in the sediment.
No, it is rooted. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
it's grass and
Yeah.
you walk through it. Like, and usually there's like part of it gets all the way down to the sands, like where people walk the very most. But like coming in and out, it's just the reed bed has never come all the way in, partially because there is, I don't know what it's called, but there's a grass growing there, like all the way out to when it's like up to your shoulders. And
So
so
you
that
don't
grass
have,
is called.
you don't have to do a lot of clearing
No,
to keep
no,
that.
no, we're not,
okay.
we're not.
It's not an annual thing.
No.
Okay. So trying to lessen when you do have to do it.
Yeah,
to-
hear
to-
that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
could we live with a 2-foot path through it?
Is there a legal limit? I thought
Well,
someone,
that's what we're trying to nail down
Oh.
here.
I thought someone said 4 feet was the.
4 feet is allowed in other resource areas, but technically there's nothing allowed in ponds. So what we're doing is we're transferring what's allowed in something like a coastal bank or a coastal dune and transferring that to a resource area that doesn't allow any pathway through. It's not included in there because most people don't have pathways through ponds. So Laura is trying to, transfer what's in one reg to another resource area, and that is the 4-foot pathway. So, this commission can say no pathway, and that would be okay, it's within,
With our authority.
within your authority to say no pathway. So if they're willing to accommodate a 2-foot pathway, I think that's the middle ground. And I do think that Laura has a good point where you do want one established way to get out there. And that way there's not a bunch of paths that get created over time, but
Isn't the main path to the dock down the stairs and just out that way, or are people just going everywhere?
Kind of just going, I mean, like from that beach area out, like it's walking or taking the kayak out or pulling the raft out and in is just once a year. But that with
And doesn't the grass just by pulling things and walking, doesn't it just flatten out anyway to give you access?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would you want to pull it then?
Oh, I think what we're establishing is like when we pulled it, it's just like every once in a while there's like one guy in the middle of it. And I remember my grandpa pulling it out. But if I hear you saying, please don't do that anymore, then that I think something we can respect. It's never grown all the way in. And I think that's due to natural use and the in and out of it. Like I think if someone stops living in the house,
And stops using it?
yeah, over many years, I bet it would fill in. But like what's happening right now is we're using it and going in and out of the pond quite a lot.
I'd be okay with a 2-foot path.
Again, if you try to focus your access to the pond on a 2-foot wide entry point.
well, you could maintain the 2-foot wide path. So in that 2-foot wide path that you establish, you could pull the stray guys out, but everything else beyond that 2-foot path, you would have to allow to naturalize.
Okay, and if it doesn't fill in, then it doesn't fill in. Like
Yeah, you don't need, if you don't need to maintain it, you don't need to maintain
Yeah,
it.
you don't have to pull it.
Yeah.
Well, and probably and that's the other thing, by using the same route, then that hopefully will eliminate the need to have to.
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean we have kids, so trying to keep them on the same route, like of course,
Yeah.
but,
Make an attempt.
How will the raft be moored, but with just one weight, or will it be moored in a way where it won't swing around? And the reason I ask is because it's going to be shading the bottom, and there's quite a vegetation on the bottom there, I know. So if you could minimize the swinging around, then it would shade just one spot. That's commonly done with rafts, use 2 or 3 anchors.
Oh, I see what you mean, like triangulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But wouldn't you want it to be intermittent shade? In other words, so it would only be a couple of hours.
That's a hard one. I don't know. I don't know how they answer it.
And also you want to eliminate structure on the bottom too. So
This is- I
the
mean-
the one cement block to me, if there were more than that, I'd start getting upset.
this is one of those things that, when the conservation agents get together, even statewide,
Yeah.
it's what we talk about. What does your commission do for the floats? Do you make them have multiple anchors? Is that worse for the, but
So what's the
Barbara
answer?
said nobody has an answer. Everybody's different. So I
That can
Um,
be studied.
and some of them do it by the size of the raft, like bigger rafts, they make sure that they're triangulated, and smaller ones, they.
I withdraw my comment.
It's a good conversation, but I don't think there's a clear answer.
Any other concerns?
Are we okay with the off-season storage?
Yeah, I think it's too heavy and unwieldy to bring up.
Yeah, I agree. Might create more.
So you're gonna
disturbance
secure it
for the
to the
outdoors.
stairs, is that right? During the winter?
There's a metal post in the ground.
Mhm.
But just have one question, looking across the lake at that shack, the Houston property.
Mhm.
There's a black rectangular float over there washed up.
Mhm.
Is that yours? Okay, thank you.
Is it a float? I've been looking at it with my binoculars. I couldn't
It
figure out
is,
what it was.
I don't think it belongs to Houston's, I think it blew over from one of the other properties, but
They probably won't know till they come out for the summer.
Yeah,
They're missing them.
yeah. Should we make them label this float? I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, like we do with coastal state bank, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is what we require for stairs down coastal banks is the stairs have to be embossed or labeled with the address and the property owner's last name, so that if this one comes loose,
Right.
then we know who to call. So we'll probably add that as a condition that you'll have to label.
Is that something we could just like paint on the top of it?
Yeah, I mean,
The water and.
any way that it's going to stay, stairs, wooden stairs are easier. Lots of times they just like emboss it by burning it in. But you could even attach something to it. But painting the side, just labeling it 200 Butte. In any way that it will stay. If you have to do it every year, you have to do it every year, but every year it's in the water, it needs to have the label.
Good idea, because it has, in the past, they have floated away.
Yeah.
Let's, they have a 10-foot float.
Where rafts.
Okay,
May I ask one question? And it's fine if it's 2 feet. But if there's any way it could be 3, I don't know if you've walked through the reed bed, but when you're walking through it and it's brushing your shoulders, it's really, it's not very pleasant. So if you would consider having it be 3, if it does further than that much, I would appreciate it, but I understand if that's not, okay.
I don't think we're gonna get out there with a tape measure, I think it. The boot pond with a lot of vegetation around it.
I think 2 feet is a clear pathway, like, 24 inches, I think is bigger than, but,
You could always come back maybe with the JO if it's just.
yeah, if there's like a one-time thing going on and it has overgrown, contact me and maybe we can do something about it. But in the notice of intent, I think leaving it at 2 feet to maintain is good. And how this is, if the commission approves it, how it's going to work is that permit is good for 3 years. And then after 3 years, you can apply for an extension of up to 2 years. And you can keep doing that for 2 to 3 times. And so you'll have time to figure out if 2 feet is enough. And if the permit is open, if it hasn't expired, you can come back for an amended order and or a change of plan, just depending, and we can revisit the path issue with the commission if it's happening, if 2 feet is not enough, and then you guys can determine if you're willing to budge on that.
Thank you.
I've got just one more question on that front. So we were saying during the last hearing, there was discussion about how much red tape the notice of intent generates. After they've gone through all the extensions for the order of conditions, if this is just gonna be a swim, like if this is a swim float that's gone out there for 40 years, when they have to renew the permit, can that be through an RDA or something without having to go through the notice of intent?
That means that any conditions we can't enforce. So RDA conditions are almost impossible to enforce based on case law. But this permit could be good for, 10 years. So if you don't let it expire, you can come back for extensions.
It's not,
No, and it's, pretty easy. There's a 1-page application. There's no money involved with extension requests. And so you wouldn't have to be, doing the entire NOI process often. It would be 8 to 10 years that you're doing it. And it does protect the commission as regs change or if property ownership changes and the new owners are no longer good stewards of that land. Having an RDA there is not gonna protect the pond.
Environment changes for some reason, we also have a.
It's just become quite the onerous.
Yeah, most other towns do it that way on the Cape. You have to keep coming back, whether they do or not. That's up to you.
Yeah.
But
Mom always said never hurts to ask.
I have one more minor point, Laura. I noticed in the plan, it said you have the elevations relative to an assumed datum. And that was done a lot in the past, but we're not doing that anymore. We're normally requiring, I don't think it's a big issue given this project, but we were normally requiring everything to be relative to NVDA. So I just want to say that. And then also the arbitrary datum that was chosen is sky high. I mean, the elevation of Great Pond is 8 feet on the topo map. This is
Right.
in the 40s.
Yes, and the reason that datum is on our plan is because we just recycled a lot of the topography that we used when we did the septic system plan. So luckily, we already had a whole bunch of information on the site, so it wasn't even as much of a process that it normally is for a notice of intent. But yes, normally our datums would be
So when was the septic framed?
a few years ago.
And we didn't use NAVD 88 on those funds?
Not for the septic system, we
Oh.
didn't.
Well, it's just a convenient way to tie it into groundwater table.
It is.
Okay.
It can be. One thing that drives us crazy is you see a lot of plans with mean sea level plus or minus.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
Yeah.
Because if you are gonna transfer a real elevation in there, that takes a lot of effort. And so we either do something that's completely obviously not on mean sea level or NAVD, which is why those grades are so out of whack to you when you look at the assumed datum, but when we have an NAVD elevation on our plan, it is the elevation. We don't like the plus or minus, which you do see. So, but it takes effort to get that elevation out to a site. So if it's a septic system plan, then we might just try and save the home, that we're trying to upgrade the septic system. So that might be a reason that we
I
don't.
thought it was a lot easier now with our TK.
It is a lot easier now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why it is like it is.
Okay. Minor point.
So we have the condition that if Natural Heritage comes up with something that has to be added as condition.
There's a condition.
The path is 2 feet
2
wide.
feet.
The name has to be on the float.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
That's pretty much it. I did I did add, the conditions that I added are the float is allowed to be in the water from May 15th to November 15th. The 6-month window. Float must be stored as described in the narrative. If the float is replaced, new float materials must be approved by the conservation agent.
And the path width.
And then the path width is 2 feet.
Okay, with those conditions, I move we approve.
Second,
Okay, yes,
yes.
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 and yes.
And we'll wait for NHESC
Right.
before I can issue the permit.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, the next hearing is Peter Mattson and Susan Mattson, 2950 Old Kings Highway, not the parcel 2, SE 077-1091. Request for certificate of compliance for septic system upgrade. Do we have anybody?
Probably not, but we wasn't gonna come. But let me get this signature sheet. All right. Where? Oh, 2950 Old Kings Highway, is that what you just read? Yeah, so this was a permit issued in 2006 for a Title V septic system. The work was completed as permitted. The property has no violations. No violations were observed. That's the property right by the herring.
The hamburger house,
Is that what it is?
otherwise known as, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they barely have a building permit for that house, so they just haven't done any work in a while, so, recommended.
Be selling it.
I
For those.
It's an 1800 house.
mean, yeah, it's beautiful. I fell in love with it.
Everybody likes it.
Yeah. Got like really angled
Looks like-
roof in the front.
Why is it called Hamburger House?
Anna Hamburger bought it in 1953.
Yeah.
And her, I guess Peter Mattson was her son. I don't know, not sure though. But the name is now, the house is officially the Mattson Walker House. It's a trust. But it was Anna Hamburger's house.
Yeah.
She was very nice later. I knew Anna Hamburger.
Okay, so I move approval.
Second,
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Okay, after in the Salty Vibes Inc. 464 State Highway, map 42, parcel 22, SE 077-1-1412. They want to plant native trees and shrubs in the buffer zone. So
Why not? This COC was issued, no, the order was issued in 2016. And according to the minutes, this was an after the fact permit for illegal cutting of vegetation. It looks like this is, you know where this is, where all the floats are at. On the highway,
Oh, okay, yeah,
there's like.
Yeah.
All
the big pink one with all the.
yeah, all the water toys, all the water
Yeah,
floats, it's there. And there's definitely some plants that were installed. I saw the trees and I saw some shrubs, but there was a whole lot of invasives choking out the
So
plantings. So
What are
there's,
they asking for us to do?
that's the COC.
Oh, that's COC.
This is where they hang the shark.
Yeah,
Oh, so it's on the east side of the highway.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and there's that.
I remember
Right
this,
there, yes,
I remember this
too.
project.
yeah. There are no conditions that required plant survival or invasive management, so we can't really do anything but approve. Let's see.
Oh, I hope that we have.
In that case.
What do we do?
Second, my
All
God.
right, now how do we vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
And yes. All right, away we go.
Is that a fallen ownership in this?
on both sides of the street.
There is now.
There is now.
No.
So they get them going.
I know we had also hearings about the other side of the road because there's big storage container,
Or
right,
something.
right, on the marsh.
Mm.
That he's had there for many, many years. So I don't know what the status of that was.
I didn't go to that. So.
I think he uses it to store stuff that's there in the winter. And then it all comes out and gets put all.
Oh, right, yeah. I will say that site 2950 Old Queens Highway, that site is a mess between maybe just trash from the road.
No, you mean,
State highway.
Oh, yeah, sports.
I think we use the
Yeah,
ferry.
yeah. No, that is beautiful. We all want to live there. But the salty vibes where that place was. There was just trash everywhere.
Are there any other things that we should discuss? Yeah.
I move that we close the hearing.
Second, Michael?
All right,
Yes.
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 And yes, okay, so the business meeting. Anybody want a break for the business meeting? Yes. All right, well, now start the business meeting. In attendance, we have Michael Pitcher, John Portnoy, Bob Brennan, Bob Stewart, and Leon Shreves. We have a quorum. Do we have any jurisdictional opinions?
We have two jurisdictional opinions. Sorry, they weren't in your site summaries. Jen did my site visits for me earlier this week, but 55 Forest Road, map 16, parcel 620, removal of one hazardous tree. The pictures aren't opened up. That thing is dangerous. Oh, it's leaning over their deck. So just one tree there. And then 106 Fox Island Road, map 28, parcel 228. Removal of two trees, one with storm damage and the other one is totally rotted at the base, and the property owners are concerned for hazard safety issues as well. 106 Fox Island Road is so wooded and naturalized that the two trees aren't going to matter. And those are the two.
Can we consider them all as one? One, I move that we approve the two jurisdictional opinions.
I have to refuse on the Fox Islands, so can I?
Just
not-
refuse for all of
Just
them.
for both?
Yeah.
John, I'll second that. John, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 And yes, okay. So now we have some discussions to conduct. We have an introduction by Suzanne Ryan, liaison. For the Energy and Climate Action Committee discussion. For the Association to Preserve Cape Cod, recent publications, the Cape We Shape.
She's there as a panelist, so she should be able to speak.
Okay, Suzanne, you've got the floor.
Okay, hi there, everybody. Suzanne Ryan, I am your liaison from the Energy and Climate Action Committee. And of course, this is my first introduction. I hope to come to future meetings, but today I wanted to share something with you in particular that I think has real relevance for us in Wellfleet, and it's a development in Falmouth, and it was spearheaded or encouraged by a campaign by the Association to Preserve Cape Cod. And Falmouth has taken action, and I'd like for our town to take action. So let me just give you some background here. And I'm basically reading from the APCC newsletter that introduced this topic to readers. At a recent town meeting, Falmouth approved transferring 2 town-owned parcels into the care and custody of their conservation commission. And these were the first articles supported by the APCC through its Cape We Shape campaign. And what made this development particularly important is that it came from residents in Falmouth. And people had realized that land that many assumed was already protected actually wasn't. And we're talking about town-owned land. They stepped forward, these residents, to make sure it gained real protection. And that is a really good lesson for the rest of the Cape, including Wellfleet. So a little bit of background on that. There is a common assumption that undeveloped town-owned land is automatically protected from development. But in reality, that is not true. Unless the land is formally protected through a conservation restriction or placed under the care and custody of the town's conservation commission, it generally remains vulnerable. Even land and critical natural resource areas still needs town meeting approval to be permanently protected. So the Cape We Shape campaign is meant to help communities identify important municipal land and move it through that local approval process. It's low cost, it's high value, towards protecting drinking water, habitat, and climate resilience. So I'd like to propose that Wellfleet do something along these lines. And the Energy and Climate Committee would like to, well, I'm speaking on their behalf, but I'm going to suggest that we can be coalition partners on helping making this happen if that is something that you agree to.
Do you have any feel for how much property the town has that is undeveloped? Wellfleet in
You know, I haven't really gone that far in investigating.
Well, there's 10%. It's funny, I just had a meeting with the Cape Cod Commission over open space, but there's 10% of land that is that's undeveloped and unprotected. The percentage of that's owned by the municipal government is unclear. I had already compiled a list of parcels that I thought were ecologically important in terms of just their habitat, but also for coastal resilience. And the administration said that they are not willing to put any conservation restrictions on land right now while they're figuring out a housing crisis. But I'm happy to work with more committees to try to make that more of a priority.
And I also I'm concerned that if we were to take an active role in trying to identify this, that it's kind of a conflict since we're trying to get it into our control. I don't think that would be a very good idea.
In the past, have you spoken with the Open Space Committee yet?
No.
Okay, the Open Space Committee for many years has been doing what you have suggested. They've identified, they've done inventories of undeveloped parcels in Wellfleet, particularly municipally owned parcels, and brought proposals to town meeting to change some of these to conservation lands under the care and custody of the Conservation Commission. This has been going on for a long time. Town meeting hasn't always agreed, but they've tried. So I suggest you talk with them because a lot of what you are urging has been routinely, attempted at least in Wellfleet
And some successful.
Some successfully.
Blue Heron was a successful one.
And often in collaboration with the Wellfleet Conservation Trust.
Michael?
Yes, just to second that, as you know, in the last round of the town meeting, they put 3 parcels of town-owned land under our protection. And this was a long effort done, again, by the Open Space Committee. As I understand it, they're in the middle of a 10-year plan to try to do exactly what you're saying, and that is survey the lands owned by the town and seeing which ones were appropriate for transference to the care and custody of the Conservation Commission. So I think a lot of what you're doing, it's all great work, but a lot of it is already underway, and the Open Space Committee has really had a lead on that.
If you're looking to partner with somebody, it sounds like the Open Space Committee would be the
Yeah.
one.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And
It does.
I'm happy to facilitate if you need, even though I'm a conservation agent, I can happily facilitate meetings with you. And open space, I'm sure you can do that on your own, but if it's easier, just reach out. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I think it's important to get open space.
And then just in addition, as was mentioned, the Conservation Trust has something like 400 acres under conservation. And we're always looking to purchase either market rate or below market rate. There are state tax incentives for people to give the land or sell the land below market rate or put a CR on it. So I don't know if you presented at the Conservation Trust, but that would certainly be an important thing to do as well.
Okay, I did start here. So, but I'll certainly be talking to the trust and open space and see what what more they might want to do if anything.
It's all very valuable work, but it should be done efficiently, I think, for everybody's.
Yeah, open space is creating their new plan right now, or will be after they get the CPC funding.
One time, the Open Space Committee brought to town meeting an article to convert all of the existing undeveloped municipal land to conservation, and it got very promptly shot down.
How long ago was that?
It might have been 8 or 10 years ago. Yeah.
And as you know, also the select board is often driven by different priorities.
Yeah. Depending on what's going on. So, okay. No, that sounds very good. So I am going to have to jump off of this because I have another commitment. But I'll come to I'll come to future meetings, pop in here and there, and keep up with what's going on with you.
Great.
Thanks, Suzanne. And I'm always available for your board as well if you need any stuff.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's really good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So our next discussion is pond problems and priorities. I think Bob's taking the lead on this.
Well, this goes back to APCC as well, and the pond groups that are forming, and I think the master plan is for the different pond groups to identify problematic areas around the ponds where, for example, there are drainage issues, erosion issues, and things like that. And so I just bring it up because it seems to be a perennial problem. There's always.
Do you think that there's enough coverage with all the different groups? Is it like Gull Pond has its own group?
No, there's a new group. The Gull Pond one joined, other people joined that, and it's all under the umbrella of the Natural Resource Advisory Board, so that it's a little bit confusing about but there is a pond group now that have a great website you should go to.
Now, is this the people that have given a couple of presentations that we've gone to?
Yes, but they're also working with the APCC under their umbrella, because they're doing all the testing for the harmful algal and the park that's doing testing. So there are a lot of people involved, but so many people are using these ponds that it's I think we're a hair away from our harmful algal bloom in Wellfleet.
And Bob has been very good about pointing out on Dyer and some of the other ponds where there's a lot of erosion. So that's reporting on conditions.
Well, it's helpful with the hurricane in the winter that knocked down all the trees. There's a lot of deadfall available, especially around Dyer. If you wanted to drag it to some of these paths to block them, it's an easy thing to do. And Dyer isn't the only one. But you need,
Most of it's federal land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we. Right. I mean, we can definitely work with the seashore, and Sophia would be happy to work with us on projects. I met with her a couple of weeks ago about this. What you're saying right now is to identify problem areas and for the town to work with the Park Service to have some kind of mitigation efforts.
well, we talked about this and working with the Park Service, but
I think we can start with the town landings.
Yeah, I agree.
That'll be easier. I know that Long Pond has a problem, Gull Pond has a problem with the kayak, with the boat launches. And there's a lot more social paths going down to the ponds that are eroding, but I mean, start with the landings there and. So I just bring it up because I think it's a problem.
Well, these various groups, how do they? Their jurisdictions are the same?
They don't have jurisdiction.
They don't have-
They're private nonprofits, town committees, RAP.
But they've been raising money to do things like signage and they actually wrote a letter. I talked to someone on it today. He said that through the Natural Resource Advisory Board, they actually wrote a letter to the select board about not having concession.
Oh, they did.
They did.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of groups that wrote negatively about this and that's still troublesome to me.
Yeah.
That is something that I just wanted to announce on the record to the commission that against the staff recommendations from multiple committees, boards, and others and staff that the select board approved kayak concessions over at Gull Pond. I talked to John Bugby today about exactly what the operation is going to be. If he stores the boats there, he will absolutely need to come to us for permitting for those storage of boats. But now he's just going to deliver them like he does at Mayo Beach and other places. And then he won't need to come to us for approval.
So, ask you a question on
Yeah.
that. So are you still certain that the only activity will be at the landing? And there won't be any business activity up in the parking lot or in the fenced in area?
Yeah, that's a good question. I asked John to have the owner of Jack's Boat Rental write a new narrative of what the operation is gonna look like.
John Wills.
No, John Bugby, the ATA.
Okay.
So that we can have a better idea of what exactly the operation is gonna look like, because what was approved, it was only approved for 1 year. I was at the meeting, I really tried to show how important Gull Pond is. I mean, it's a fish nursery. For the Herring River, it's the headwaters for that river, but I forget what it was.
What is their reasoning for passing? I mean,
I don't know.
They must get money, use of town property money.
I'm not, I mean, I was surprised. It was very surprising that it was passed. There was multiple letters. National Park Service, NRAB, Suzanne Thomas for community services, but we are very confused about the operations. People are gonna need beach stickers if they're gonna go down there and use the boats. Parking lot issues is where, if he's dropping boats off there, where is he gonna put them? Because any boat storage, even temporary boat storage, is going to need permitting from us, so. I do plan to condition, it was approved with conditions from town staff. So I do plan to condition it to say you can only enter, exit the vessel on the town landing. You're not allowed to beach it anywhere else on the shoreline of Gold Pond. And
What about the narrows that goes through the?
same there, yeah. The sluice way,
Unenforceable.
yeah, but it'll at least give us something to say, hey, this was a condition and it was, you weren't able to meet it.
We could do as a condition to have the Jack's Boat Rental have somebody monitoring. it.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Somebody there all the time?
Yeah, National Park Service said that somebody should always be at Gold Pond while they have vessels in the water, so. We will be doing that as well. They wanted the conditions from National Park Service on the permit.
The town also allows another kayaking outfit, the Paddle Cape Cod that's outside of Willie's. He drops off vessels at Long Pond. I don't know if he drops them at Gold Pond too, but they bring them there, they put them on the grass, they stay there all day. Somebody comes and uses it for an hour and puts it back on the grass. So
Do they have a permit? Town use permit?
they must have a town use permit with conditions.
Didn't come through last year. I would have seen it. Unless it didn't get sent to me, which could happen.
And they also sometimes allow another outfit that does paddleboard lessons, stand-up paddleboard lessons. They come with 10 paddleboards and dump them in people. But so they must have town use permits for that too. But that's at Long Pond. I've not seen that at Gold Pond.
Well, it sounds like for us going forward, the most we can do is monitor and record.
Yeah, if you're at Gold Pond this summer,
It's too crazy. I would never go there.
we'll send the AmeriCorps member there every Thursday to take a swim and hang out there for an hour.
Because I can just start my bike all the way down.
That's right. We go early in the morning when no one's there, but yeah.
What is the name of this new pond organization?
Friends of the Wellfleet Ponds.
Friends of the Wellfleet Ponds. Look at their website. It's really good.
Solid. Doesn't roll off.
It's not an acronym.
Barbara, what are some action items that
I think if there are erosion areas, we could plant things.
Yeah. Or even have DPW we're talking about stormwater runoff from roads into Long Pond
And Gold Pond.
and Gold Pond. I mean, maybe having DPW talking to them about controlling that in some way.
We have talked to DPW about Long Pond, and they actually install that gravel path, which we said should be wood chips, but they were gravel. And they dumped a ton of sand and made a beach because it was washing off the road. And that beach is just sand that was brought in at Long Pond. And I remember that they did it without a permit.
I was gonna say they have permits for that, because you can nourish at ponds, but it always requires permits.
No, they didn't have a permit, and I think what we did was tell Jay Norton, if you do it again, please get a permit at the time. I think that was our response to the whole thing when I brought it out. But I think the APCC and other organizations are looking at launches to try to control.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how the engineering or what, but doing something with the boat ramp at Gold Pond. Long Pond has a lot of erosion by the stairway. I think planting would be appropriate, and also putting up tape or something to keep people out of where they're walking, which is causing a lot of the erosion.
Well, you did a lot of.
I did that last year.
It blew away,
Yeah, I had to replace it a lot. I
Right.
was there a lot replacing
And,
it.
it used to have a fence, and that fence stayed in place for a number of years.
Well, maybe we could put like just a little chicken wire fence around that area to stop people from going in.
Yeah,
AmeriCorps could
it had
install.
that plastic chicken wire stuff, the
Oh,
yeah.
plastic.
Yeah.
And part of it was snow fencing and part of it was the chicken wire, but
Yeah.
that kept people out of, broke down after all.
We might be able to replace that. John, at Long Pond where the stairs are, maybe you know the answer to this question. If you're walking down the stairs, right to the left of that, is that seashore property or is that our?
Yes, to look at the assessors.
Yeah, I just thought of it right now, cause
The water level's almost at the bottom of the stairs.
yeah.
Yeah, it's high this year,
Yeah.
Sure.
but it changes from.
The boat ramp, there's been no real change at the Gull Pond boat ramp since I've lived here, since 1979, and there's been no improvement in the way water and sediments managed there.
Yeah, and that
As an
old,
APCC was, as you said, it's been somehow improving boat ramps.
Yeah, they have a big program.
is there
Is
funding?
it like state grants or something for that?
I have no idea.
Seems like there might be. I will check with APCC.
Yeah, if there's funding, I think. Gold Pond would be a good one to focus on, I think. Because of there's like a false sense of security where that old parking lot was. That's even though it was dirt, that is so compacted there that the
It's
runoff
pretty flooded.
goes right into there. I went there on a rainy day once, and I thought it was the amount of runoff at Gold Pond was pretty intense.
Yeah. Worth a trip if it rains really hard, go to the
The-
Gull Pond.
The restoration area that was done by the boat ramp, those plants look
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not on the parking lot side, that was on the right side.
Right by the water.
Yeah.
And that used to be completely eroded.
Yeah, that used to be.
So that was an AmeriCorps and conservation.
In the park.
And the parks are.
And Wyoming King was
So,
setting that up.
projects like that, I think if we could get on the agenda, would be important.
Yeah.
And,
Boat ramp is harder though. 'cause you have to drive on it.
yeah,
And I put in an AmeriCorps request to have them for one day before they leave this summer without a full day of work for them to do, but. So I'm open to ideas if there's something that needs to be
fencing at
done.
Long Pond,
I'll definitely add that.
planting in that area next to the stairs if it's town land, or else get permission.
Yeah.
Seashore, and then looking into the boat ramp about what new technologies are available. to
Oh,
it.
yeah, and contact,
Yeah,
and I don't have to contact the BCC, I'll find out what they're doing and how they did it and where the funding's coming from.
Yeah, see if,
So
it would be nice to get some funding, cause
Yeah, I
I'm
think
feeling
those
just
some small.
building something, those little water diverters.
Yeah, percolating basin, like
Yeah.
something to catch the water.
Yeah, so you just put like a speed bump and a V that brings all the water to just small little drain
For
basin.
infiltration,
Yeah,
yeah,
So the concern is flow down from the parking lot going down there.
yeah, water and sediment. There's a delta. No, there's a.
Yeah.
yeah, and where water runoff is the leading cause of algal blooms. That's where you tend to get the blooms, is when you get all the stormwater runoff. So it's good to try to control that when you can. I mean, generally speaking, where the ponds are in good shape, there's very few they're not highly developed, there's very few fertilized lawns running right off into the pond. But preservation is important, you can't preserve what you've already lost, so.
Yeah.
It's important.
Once they go over the edge, it's too late.
Yeah,
Well, at Dyer Pond on the north side, there are 3 or 4 pine trees that just keeled over. And they project out over the water. And those are going to be magnets for kids to walk out to the trees.
Yeah.
Jump off
Would
and
be there.
disturb the pond bottom.
that's
That's where,
anything we can do that's on Park Service land.
okay, well,
Yeah,
We don't have much control over the.
Is there a town landing at Dyer? I know, right?
I'm not sure.
I think that's federal, that.
The whole thing.
There's just a little beach there with a sign.
Yeah, I don't think we own it.
There's no town stuff.
Do about that.
But I haven't been to Great Pond in a while, so I don't know what's going on there.
And Duck Pond, Duck Pond too.
too.
To erosion or anything like that. I know there's that stairway and then two stairways actually.
Yeah, I don't, we swim there a lot, I don't remember anything really awful, except people storing boats on it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of boats there, but
On the town.
It was last summer.
yeah, there was last summer.
Yeah, they do that at Long Pond too.
I stickered a bunch of them, but they were still there. But the harbor master won't take them out of Great Pond.
There's a lot of carrying about the skaters.
So. So that pond is difficult to enforce because,
Yeah, get it from the other side,
yeah,
the boat side.
Yeah.
Didn't take much creative thinking.
paddle them over.
Yeah.
Jen and I were talking about doing that, just piling them up somewhere for the harbor master to pick up.
Take a drill, just drill a hole. Wow. People would stop fueling the boat for that.
Oh, I see, it's a punitive action.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Okay, is there any other? It's a
Well,
multi-jurisdictional problem.
I know, I will volunteer since I know people on this ponds committee to sort of talk to them too about what they see.
Yeah, if we can identify. If we can identify something that we can do that's within our purview.
And
If it's like
Yeah.
a site
do we
visit,
have a budget?
We
We used to have a few $100s a year.
We have some in our, yeah. I can ask what's in it right now, and we should probably use it before the fiscal year.
So
Like last year, I bought a bunch of plants
yeah,
and then planted them in that long pond with that money. And so we do get a couple $100 from our fees yearly. That should be going into a revolving fund that we can like bank that money instead of it just going to the general fund
right.
at the end of the year if we don't use it.
well, fencing then maybe.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know, one thing that comes to mind is that if we officially brought our kayaks down to a pond and split up and took sections of the pond and looked for places of erosion or net trails and just documented it so that we would have a systematic inspection of the ponds, but I guess maybe that's what the ponds people would do.
I think APC is suggesting that they take that on as a
Good.
task. And I mean, I swim around Long Pond and it's just the town landing area that's.
Yeah.
Well, and again, regardless of if we see things, we can't do anything about it. It's outside, I mean, I can always contact the National Park Service and let them know. But to be honest, Sophia Fox over there that does all the water quality, she's usually the one emailing me about problems. Like she has eyes on it down there. Whether she can do anything about it, you know. But
What is her question when she gets in touch with you?
usually usually her questions are mostly about water quality, but you know, the use at the town landings. You know, and
Okay.
how it relates to water quality,
Yeah.
whether it's storm runoff or.
Okay, fair enough, but as far as overuse, it's up to her, so. Right,
No,
No, those are town landings.
oh,
the town, I mean, you get a beach permit and you can park there and you can go to the pond.
oh. Let's take Long Pond as an example then.
Okay.
You have that ramp that comes down from the porta potties.
Yeah,
And
that Moby mat,
yes,
that's town.
That's town.
okay,
And then like almost everything around from, you know, that lawn area to the stairs, that's all town. And then everything else around that is either private or National Park Service.
What about the place farther down the road near Guthrie Lane where there's a gate and it's the bicycles. That's park? Yeah.
No
Yeah.
parking, but you can go there and
Yeah,
picnic table.
there's some rare plants down there. Just pieces of sundews. And I've
It's a
seen,
nice little beach.
yeah, that people, they set up their folding chairs and their towels right up on the sundews. Sometimes whenever I go down there, I say, "Oh, have you seen the sundews?" I try to hook them into the blind eyes, and sometimes they're in flower. And I know some people will be really interested. Other people said, "Yeah, so what?"
Yeah.
It's terrible.
No, I've talked to the pond people about the dogs and everything else, so I'll keep talking to them.
Okay.
But if we could look at the landings, I mean, we don't have a site visit someday and want to just go and look.
I was gonna, if we want to, I think the next meeting is pretty busy. There's, I think, 5 or 6 new applications. But the next time we have not a whole lot of applications, we could go look at the landings.
And we all live in town, just.
Yeah, you can
drive
do
by
it as a group.
Drive by and take a look,
The other-
and Long Pond.
And the other reason why I think we should prioritize Gold Pond is because the levels there for harmful algal blooms are a little higher than the other ponds last year when you looked at the data.
The actual cyanobacteria
Yeah.
was greater, was more abundant there.
Like it was in the moderate, the yellow, the warning twice.
That pond get closed.
Yeah, that was shock to me. I always think of it as one of the pristine ones.
Right, it's got a little beach. It's well protected from the cars.
It's got houses.
It's got a couple, 3 houses.
Yeah, but the house, the Garrison House on the north end has a tight tank.
Is that the one
You're talking about
off
duck.
Cotton Hall Road?
Well, didn't that
Yeah.
get shut down right after that, when we got like 4 inches of rain in an hour?
For bacteria or for cyanobacteria?
For cyanobacteria?
Oh,
But I wonder like which pond has the most, what do they call it? Like nutrients at the bottom that's,
Kicked up.
well, like the anoxic environment from all the farming and things like that. So a lot of the sediment at the bottom is older. And so if even one of our ponds had more farming and agriculture practices nearby in the past, that one is going to be more likely to get the algal bloom because of all the anoxic nutrient at the bottom that's stashed there.
yeah, but they're isolated by the stratification in the summertime. The one that where nutrients are regenerated all summer long, the shallow one like herring.
Yeah, like herring.
Yeah, that's like
But
piece.
the deep kettle ponds, the ones that have the most nutrients from farming practices hundreds of years ago, those are the ones that usually get the algal blooms. I mean, the shallow ones, obviously, those are more susceptible to it. But I think all that research showed that a lot of it was previous nutrients that's getting affected.
There's a large load in phosphorus in the sediment of all these
Yeah.
ponds.
I just
But I
wonder.
suppose if during turnover in the spring and fall, it gets into the surface and it's still there.
Yeah.
In the summer when the cyanobacteria grow, then that would be the connection, I guess.
I don't know, you know more about this than I do.
I just want to go on record as saying that I'm very disappointed that our Board of Selectmen voted to allow kayak concession at Gull Pond, which I think is,
Especially unified.
I think there are a lot of issues surrounding this, and Leisha wrote a great letter, which she shared with me, and I might just write something in the paper because I don't think many people in Wellfleet know about this.
Right. It seems like they totally ignored the environmental concerns that were expressed by multiple
Right.
knowledgeable groups.
So maybe
It's
it's
just a
worth a letter.
disappointment.
Well, if you'd like a co-signatory on it.
Oh, okay, great.
So,
So it wouldn't come from the commission, it would just come from us as
because
Wellfleet.
Outside too.
Okay,
Not going.
all right, I'm gonna lift some of Alicia's wording and send it around as a draft and you guys can have at it. And I'll try to get it into next week's, not this week's.
Is there an
next week.
issue about the number of signatures reaching a quorum of a committee of the
Yeah, you
committee?
might just wanna do two.
Oh,
I'm not sure, but
but three isn't a quorum.
it is. Well, anything more than two could be,
Okay.
You
But,
can
but,
vote-
but I'm
I
not
don't-
writing it as a commissioner though.
but even if like, it doesn't matter if you guys are in the same room. It's not talking about a public hearing, so it might
Okay.
not matter. It's talking about.
Put my name on
Yeah,
it. Okay.
I'm- I mean,
I can.
I don't know the answer, so but it's statement summary.
show.
Yeah,
Leon and I go out.
yeah, you guys can write a different letter.
We just happened to be over conservation.
Okay,
All right, thank you for
yeah,
discussing
and
that.
it's important stuff. I mean, if Gull Pond were to become unusable in the middle of August or something, that would be serious, and the town really ought to be thinking about that.
There's a lot of, speaking of phosphorus, there's a lot of phosphorus, a huge load of phosphorus in deep sediment of these ponds. But there's also a storage of phosphorus around the rim.
Yeah.
It's like a bathtub rim. And we measured that. Huh? We did these transects and we measured the sediment. We measured both pore water and solid phase phosphorus. And there was this bathtub ring of high phosphorus soils around the edge. And it was in this vegetated zone where the water comes and goes. You know, it's some years it's flooded and some years it's so it got flooded anaerobic and that mobilizes phosphorus. But if the iron's there, it sticks to the iron, especially when the iron's oxidized by these plants that bring oxygen down into their root zones. You know, they oxidize the iron, which then grabs the phosphorus, sticks to it. And so over time, the phosphorus coming from the upland and leaching in from the environment gets trapped. It's just like a sink for phosphorus because it's trapped in that zone
Yeah.
because there's an aerobic sediment to capture it. And
Capture.
the sediment's only aerobic. It would be normally anaerobic because there's so much organic matter accumulating on in that zone, but it's aerobic only because there are living plants there drawing air down to they have to oxidize their root zone or they die. So they bring in that extra. So it's real interesting. There were really a significant accumulation of phosphorus in that zone. And that's why, you know, I always urge these shoreline owners, please don't pull out the plants. They're performing an important service for you.
Yeah, for your ability to swim in the.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that discussion is finished, which was a good discussion. Let's talk about approving the minutes for the April 15th meeting.
I just have two little. One is a typo, and one is a sentence that didn't make sense to me on page 6. So.
This one?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. I don't think
It's just wording, just.
maybe a couple of things I wanted to just bring up. Under on page 3, the second paragraph. It's ordinarily stated that the restoration of the bank would be a benefit. But Michael Fisher agreed, so he should be named there too. He took that position also. I'll give you this, Jen.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else. Well, Merle Van Meter talked about on page 6 about 4 paragraphs. Talked about removing. It said remove each piece of retaining walls one at a time. That wasn't clear to me, so I suggest that he was talking about moving them sort of sequentially to allow the bank to stabilize over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just give you this. I got some suggested rewording.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. All right, move that we approve the meeting minutes for April 15th.
As amended, Mike Fisher second. Yes.
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 And yes, okay. If there are no, our next hearing will be on May 20th and 26th. There are no other issues to discuss during the business meeting. I move that we adjourn.
Second, Michael, yes.
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 And yes, thank you, everybody.